We all remember the news story of the Wild Boars football team earlier this year in Thailand. 12 young players and their coach entered a well-known tourist attraction. But what they didn't know was that monsoon season was about to arrive a month early, filling the caves with water and trapping the boys. What followed was a truly international rescue mission, and at the heart of that mission were our winners. This is their story.
Within hours of the Wild Boars football team vanishing, local rescue teams were on site. But it soon became clear this was going to become a highly complex diving mission, and international help was summoned. This is John Volanthen and Rick Stanton, British divers called to join the rescue.
We were quite literally watching the water rise, closing the cave off as we were stood there.
Each day, the divers explored more of the complex cave network, up to 5-hour dives at a time. But still, there was no sign of life.
The visibility in the water varied down to a few inches. If you let go of a wall or a floor, you were in danger of being swept away. We had great reservations that it was possible for anyone to survive, let alone 12 children and a coach.
Teams from across the world were working round the clock, but hope was beginning to fade.
We were absolutely prepared for the fact that you could be approaching a dead child.
Finally, a breakthrough.
We'd surfaced after a particularly long dive, and there was a very clearly human smell. And then I thought I heard voices. And then we started to see children appearing.
How many of you? 13? Brilliant.
All of the children and the coach were alive, which was an unexpected but absolutely amazing result.
We are coming. It's okay. It's okay. Many people are coming. Many people.
Where you come from?
England, UK. I did feel significant personal responsibility for the children.
Having found the boys alive, they would now have to mount a complex rescue mission. One which would take immense personal bravery. John and Rick would need more help from home.
I got a call saying, we need you in Thailand tomorrow, lunchtime, you're on a flight.
The number of people involved and the distance they were beyond flooded passage, I've never seen anything like this before.
Probability of bringing them out was very low. And 1.5 kilometres of pretty gnarly diving makes for very tough conditions.
They faced a life or death decision. Wait for the waters to recede and watch the children grow weaker as oxygen levels dropped, or attempt a high-risk dive to get them out. But none of the boys could swim. And to underline just how dangerous this mission would be, tragedy struck.
A diver who was helping with the rescue died after his tank ran out of air.
Taking this many children through this sort of length of cave passage, it's never been attempted anywhere in the world.
If they'd have panicked underwater, started thrashing around, they could have killed themselves, they could have killed us. So the only real option was to fully sedate them.
Sedating the boys was a bold decision, but would give them the best chance of making it out alive. Finally, the day arrived for the divers to act.
We would be tethered to the children. If anything is going to hit an obstacle, it's your head that hits first. We began to take out the children. I had a very, very strong feeling of responsibility where I had a child's life in my hands.
Yeah, I didn't want to be responsible for the loss of their life because of a mistake I'd made.
If it had all gone wrong, I'd have had to live with the consequences.
At last, it was the moment the world had been waiting for.
As each successive diver appeared with a live child, our jubilation and almost incredulity built. All the preparation that had been done appeared to be working.
After a 3-day rescue operation, choreographed by the British team, the boys and their coach were brought to safety.
When I brought the last boy out, I got a lump in my throat. I thought, wow, we've actually done it. You know, it's amazing. And we made our way out of the cave and it was just like hundreds of handshakes, clapping. We're quite modest people. We just wanted to get back and have a beer.
I feel privileged to have been able to help, and I'm glad that I was able to help.
Never ever forget this experience, an opportunity to help a fellow human. It's just a wonderful thing to do.
Thank you for saving our life, and thank you for not giving up on us. Thank you. Thank you.
With us here tonight is the first man to reach those boys, John Volanthen, and with him we have Chris and Connor and Josh and Jason. It's one of the most extraordinary stories I think we've ever seen and lived through when we were watching on the television. Now, John, you were the first to see the boys. How did that feel?
I think we were just amazed that they were alive. The amount of water we'd seen coming out of the cave, the amount of rain that we'd seen, it seemed very unlikely that they'd managed to find anywhere they could shelter. And when we found that all 13 were alive, I think we were just amazed, overjoyed perhaps.
Now, Jason, obviously the boys had to stay there while it was decided what was going to happen. And their families were outside and obviously very concerned. What was it that you gave to the boys to help with that?
I had an underwater notepad. It was just like, here you are, boys. Write some messages to your parents. Because at that point, we didn't know whether they were ever going to get out of it. It could have been the last messages they ever wrote to their parents, and it just put the parents' minds at peace, I think.
Oh, it is absolutely wonderful. You obviously all showed tremendous courage by venturing into the depths of those caves. And to present your award, well, is a man who studies the depths of space, Professor Brian Cox, and with him, a man who has soared into space, Britain's very own astronaut, Tim Peake. Tim, you ventured into the unknown yourself. Can you imagine what went through these fantastic rescuers' minds when they had to?
I can't imagine how difficult those conditions were to carry out that rescue. When we head off into space or we head out onto a spacewalk, we've worked out what can go wrong, and we've trained and trained and trained. But, you were thinking on your feet there and having to deal with these difficult circumstances. So I can't imagine how complicated and difficult that was.
Yeah, we were just talking backstage, actually, that we've done a bit of diving. But I wondered if you could comment on just how unbelievably difficult it is to bring someone out who's never dived before.
It's when you take somebody else's life in your hands and you have to take them out of those same conditions that you're very experienced with, where that other person isn't. And that was the main challenge of having the responsibility of that person's life in your hand.
Yeah, I think Chris described it as pretty gnarly, though. Was that the words that you used?
Well, it was an incredible rescue, so it gives me great pleasure and a huge honour to present you with this Outstanding Bravery Award. Congratulations.
Wild Boars would love to thank you for saving their lives, and they have flown all the way here from Thailand to do just that. You've only got one there, but here with the remaining 4 awards, please give a huge Pride of Britain welcome to the Wild Boars football team. To ask the boys, and I'm very pleased to say that Natira is here to translate. And what do you remember most about the rescue?
จำเสียงของเขาได้ครับตอนที่เขาเข้ามาหาน้องๆทั้ง 13 คนครับน้องๆ 13 คนรู้สึกดีใจมากครับ
We remember the sound when you first actually came in We were very pleased when we heard that sound. We were so glad to hear you.
Now, I understand when you were down there, 4 of you had birthdays. Who had a birthday?
วันเกิดใครคะ4 คนตอนเข้าไป
So what would you like to say to these people who saved your life?
แล้วก็รู้สึกเป็นเกียรติอย่างยิ่งที่ได้มาร่วมงานขอบคุณผู้ที่มีพระคุณต่อพวกผมมากเลยครับเพราะรู้สึกขอบคุณมาก
We thank you all to save our life and thank you for everyone to bring us here.
And I believe, Natira, that the boys have brought some presents all the way from Thailand.
Yes, so that's a card, garland, and Thai ceramic. And in this card, the boys actually signed their name or actually even draw the picture over here. You are my heroes. Thank you very much from the bottom of our heart. We love you. And actually with their names.
Thank you to the Wild Boars, and thank you, Tim and Brian, and most of all, congratulations to our heroes, John, Jason, Chris, Josh and Connor.